You know, the thought that I can't get out of my head in this conversation is that you live in Pondicherry on a farm, I can hear birds singing and it's very beautiful and the sun is rising. So fundamentally, तुम्हारे घर के सामने गू नहीं है.
गू नहीं है, गाय है.
So if there's no conflict, then what are you going to write about? From comedy to Kisan, basically.
हाँ मतलब I sometimes joke about it. How sad is Indian comedy that I find hope in farming.
Have you ever had that day where you're like, dude, why am I doing this?
No, actually never. The life you lead is the art you create. It's not the art you create doesn't lead you to a life you want to live.
If you were to run into someone on an aircraft, would you still ask questions?
That person I would ask questions. In our society, running behind money is the safest addiction. This is the safest. Nobody will call you out. There's no problem. Your family will also enjoy it. Your friends will also be happy for you. But it's still an addiction.
You know, if you grew your beard longer, you could start an ashram.
No, that would make me very rich.
We are trying to avoid that situation.
Money gets a lot of problems.
Kunal Kamra. Thank you for speaking with me. We haven't met in years. I mean, last I heard you moved out of the city. You're not on social media that much. You're not doing reactive social media, let's call it.
I'm not on social media like I used to be.
Like you used to be. What's going on? Where have you been?
So around 2 years, 4 months now, almost 2.5 years. I moved out of Bombay. I went to Pondicherry.
Okay.
Because I've been born and brought up here, so I just wanted to see how it is when you kind of leave your city, go outside, try and see what to do for work, etc. So I tried that. That was quite good. I started enjoying it, and then I decided that I don't need a permanent Mumbai address.
Okay.
So I don't have a house here right now, not even on rent. So in that sense, I moved with all my stuff to Pondicherry, and it was good. And I still continue to live out of there, and looks like for as long as I can, I'll probably be doing that because it is much more healthier for an artist to, just because when you're in the city, you start procrastinating a lot, right? Because you're like, you can do this. I mean, everything is just right here. Now I've traveled to Bombay after 6 months. So there's no procrastinating. Every day there's some work, you do the work, you go back. And from how I've calculated, the amount of work that I have been able to do while being in Pondicherry probably is equal to the amount of work I would be able to do while I was in Mumbai. So because you just get far more efficient when you come here with the purpose of working than when you stay here.
And what is working right now? I mean, are you still doing comedy? Are you still what's happening?
A couple of things for sure. Comedy is something that it's like a language. You can't just quit it. So I do stand up right now. Also, right now I'm in Mumbai. I'm doing stand up, but stand up is not my only source of keeping myself busy. Okay. In Pondicherry, when I went there, I wanted to venture out into farming. That was always something that I thought of, but never actively took any steps in those direction till I shifted to Pondicherry. But once I shifted to Pondicherry, I think the only thing that I have been consuming myself is understanding agriculture, understanding farming, and understanding what is it that you can try and experiment with in this space. So Pondicherry, I kind of got some land and I started trying to figure out what farming venture I'd like to get into. And it took me around 1 year to decide what I wanted to do in farming. And now I'm pursuing that. So, yeah, it's been interesting.
From comedy to Kisan, basically.
I sometimes joke about it that, how sad is Indian comedy that I find hope in farming.
How sad is Indian comedy actually?
It's not actually. See, it's not bad at all. People are doing great work and making super money. But all I think is that I think actively every comedian 1 hour in a day must be thinking of jokes he cannot do or she cannot do. Yeah. Because things are in such great scrutiny right now and people just need a reason to hate on comedians. So that is kind of there. Like, it puts you in doubt all the time.
Yeah.
About, is this a joke I should put out? Is it insensitive? Is it? And actually, a joke for a comedian, as one of the comedians I really like, Ricky Gervais, has said this, that stand-up comedy and jokes are something that it's a unique perspective on a situation that a comedian has. It's not a look into his soul, or it's not the person that they are. It's just the opinion or the quirky joke that they have to get on the table right now. So yeah, I also think that if people start understanding that comedy is about just getting a unique perspective and getting a laugh and a joke, and it's not about insulting or putting someone's culture, religion, idea, likes, dislikes down.
Yeah.
But we'll take time to get to there. I think it's getting, I mean, actually though it's getting worse, but hopefully there'll be some semblance of what people can say and what people want to say.
Have you found this entire process to be exhausting?
No, I just feel that, I mean, if I didn't move to Pondicherry and if I didn't figure out, that I need to apply my mind towards, say, agriculture or farming, I would have probably felt a little less relaxed about these things. But from the way I see it, from the time I've been on the internet, there clearly seems to be something or the other going on with the government and independent voices. So I'm not tired or anything, and I'm not surprised also with the things that they're doing. But yeah, I can understand how this can impact many people in a very negative, kind of downward spiral kind of way.
I mean, this is, as you know, this is a conversation about failure, not so much about success. If I were to ask you if you've experienced failure at all, and what that felt like, and what you learned from it.
I think it's very, it's it's not been an exclamation mark in my life. So I was never a good student. I didn't get good grades in my 10th, 12th. I quit education after 12th. Went into advertising, ups and downs. Then at I think 2016, I was 28. I quit my full-time job to pursue stand-up full-time. So it's been ups and downs, but I don't look at it as failure or success. I just look at it as like as the lens of a comedian. Like whatever happens to you will be painful now, funny later. So I always put that lens on it, that how bizarrely this thing is happening right now. My show is getting cancelled, but it's going to be really funny in a year or two. I'll have the sense of humor to laugh about it. So I never look at those things as failures. I just look at those things as unique experience that no other comedian would have. So it took me a while to kind of stop victimizing myself and start enjoying this. But once I started, there was no going back. It's just that one thing you shift about how you look at things, and you don't feel the same way about sort of shows getting cancelled or court cases happening or stuff like that.
But there was a time when all of that sort of just it was a whirlwind, right? There were court cases, there were shows getting cancelled, there was a lot of very harsh trolling, there were threats happening at the same time. Did that take a toll?
Yeah, I mean, at that point it did. Address leaks and stuff like that. Doxing or
What do you mean by addresses?
like just doxing your house address, your mobile number, all of that.
So someone puts up your details on the internet and now everybody has access to it like that. Okay.
It's weird. In my case, a bank employee did it. Funny. But yeah, it's fine actually. Once you deal with it, uh, and you kind of figure out, okay, yeah, I can stand up to it. And now where I am is exactly thanks to standing up. Now I'm on ignore mode. Nobody interacts. Nobody trolls. Nobody replies to my tweets. The whole active right-wing IT cell kind of.
Has lost interest in you.
They've realized that, okay, can't change much about him, and just lost interest, lost giving me space. I mean, some things the news has to cover because there's maybe an active court case or a petition that we've put, or if an international publication covers, then they have to. But otherwise, they've pretty much.
One could argue also that there have been several comedians who sort of avoid all of the jokes that might cause controversy. And it's possible to just write entire sets about airline food and how Indians like to travel overseas, and what grandmothers are like, and just be able to run a completely rocking business, make a lot of money. Have you ever had that day where you're like, dude, why am I doing this?
No, actually, never. I think that I always take inspirations from comedians who live similar lives. One of them is Doug Stanhope, and he's clearly a kind of comedian who will tell you that the life you lead is the art you create. It's not the other way around. It's not the art you create doesn't lead you to a life you want to live. So, like, he lives in Bisbee, Arizona. Like, it's way off. No New York, no LA, nothing's close. And he lives out of there, and that's why he's so fresh. His observations are pretty much, on point. And that's why he's unique. And the comedian you just mentioned right now is a comedian who's having the same experience any other comedian is. Mother-in-law, flight, Air India, grandmother, Uber, Ola.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are kind of, but this is the life that they're leading. This is the interaction that they're having with society. So that's why that's the material that they're creating. And they are shying away from creating political content. I don't know, you can't blame them. Like, for example, if there's a comedian who used to work in a corporate, right? Had the security, had the money, could everything. Now he's here. And here, see, corporate, at least you get a 2 month notice period. Here, when you
They
are,
cancel you, then nobody gives you a 2 month.
I would not call it cancel, I would call it sacked. You're almost
Okay.
sacked out of your,
Yeah.
you say one thing which is off, you're sacked. And that fear they live with, and it's very visible in the work that they do. Because as a comedian, when you see that, oh, there was an angle to do this sort of a joke here, right there, he must have thought of it, but then edited it out.
The chilling effect, we call it in journalism.
Yeah, for sure, there is that, for sure. And that's not even there in just comedians. You can see it in across art. If you see all the OTT sort of, things that are getting made which are critical of our structure, they're only critical of our structure from before 2014. Right? There'll be that scam 1992 or scam something or some book which is written during the criticizing the Congress regime. Any show made in Bihar is actually just clearly just criticism of the Congress, because there was the Congress and the RJD and JDU present there most of the time. So these all are very calculated things that recently I saw a movie. I can't remember the movie, but the filmmaker went out of his way to tell you that the story is based before 2014. And that was very simple, but just by showing 1,000 rupee note on the table. So, and I could see it why he does that, so that nobody can, troll or.
Yeah.
Because any series that has kind of tried to talk about the JNA issue or anything which is current, oh my god, the executives on Netflix, Amazon, all the OTT guys must be really scared.
It's like, I had a conversation with Kiran Rao, and she talked about how for Lapata lady, she just invented a state that was imaginary. Because then nobody can take offense as to what has happened in this state. It's not any state that you know of. It's completely a figment of my imagination. So now only I can take offense to this state. Uh, there's the idea in society, especially now with the startup culture and the unicorn culture, the billionaire culture, that how much money you have is your measure of success, or how much extra money you have, or money that you have no use for. I want to understand what your relationship with money is and success, and how, when you look at your peers and where they are today, how does that make you feel?
I'm very happy for everybody wherever they are. But for me, I look at money as any other resource which is essential for living, right? Water, essential for living. Can't think about me thinking 1 hour about water. It's an essential resource. You can't live without it. You can't live without money. But you don't think about water. You don't think about oxygen. It's still a resource. So I just feel that money should, like, what do you do for work is great, but what does work do for you? So I'm just asking, my constant question is, what is the money that I need? And how easy it is to get. And not very it's just a resource. There's no point overthinking. There's no point. You're right. There's this culture where you're a unicorn. Everybody's like investing in stocks. Everybody's investing. Everybody's like buy Bitcoin, do this. I just feel, but in our society, running behind money is the safest addiction. This is the safest. Nobody will call you out. There's no problem. Your family will also enjoy it. Your friends will also be happy for you. But it's still an addiction, and you have to realize it's a resource, and you can use it as a resource. But if you start stalking it, like, I mean, even a monkey is not that stupid that if he finds a banana plant, he'll stay there. He'll still move. He'll still move. He'll not take bananas and put it in a bank for growth. He'll maybe visit it, maybe not. But money should not confine you. It should give you independence, I feel. And most time, I see people with money confined. Too much to lose. If I do this, I will lose this. If I do that, I'll lose that. So these sort of calculations keep happening with people with money. And then I see myself and I'm like, okay, nothing I do is going to change this part for me. Because I don't need a lot of money. And actually, if you go down to what you need, it's not a lot that you need. And you can easily meet ends. So, and at the same time, be happy about the friends or the friends, family, or whoever is running in this race behind money. Good for them. If as I said, it's the safest addiction to have. There's no rehab for it.
Are you a different person now than we knew 5-6 years ago?
I think every 3 years you
Become a
kind of
different
you're not a different person. You kind of add to your vocabulary of
Okay,
thoughts.
let me ask you. Let me rephrase the question. If you were to run into someone on an aircraft, would you still ask questions,
If
or
I
are
would-
you just like, dude, it's not my problem anymore?
No. That person I would ask questions.
Okay, we can say his name. He's not Voldemort.
Arnab, I would still ask
You
him
still ask
questions. Yeah, for sure. Because see, the thing is that the kind of impact you are creating and the dents that you are putting in society, people are in jail because of you. People they don't have been shot at. They don't have the freedom of movement that they did, and it's clearly with malice that you're doing this. So you should get a dose of your own medicine every once in a way, right?
Okay, so you believe in what you
Yeah,
do.
for sure, for sure. That person, 100%. Because there is no, see, I mean, you can even keep a MP in check by putting up a question in Lok Sabha. How do you keep a private entity like this who is in check? I mean, the people will have to keep him in check, right? And yeah.
How are your parents doing with all of this that
Oh, they're
has happened?
very-
Because it's been such a roller coaster, right?
No, they're very spiritual. They're very chill. They'll never tell me what to do or what not to do. And they are pretty much. Actually, I left education after my 12th grade. Both my parents have more degrees than me, so they are pretty much supportive of everything. And they didn't understand much of this world before, and now that they do, they still choose to kind of stay away from it. And they're like, okay, fine, you of course do what you have to, but they're pretty much chill.
Yeah. So there was no concern of your safety at one point, and that tends to be the hook. Like parents say that, listen, do you mind, like, if you could step back a little bit and not take on so much heat because we're worried about you.
They not do that. They never say that because they know. I mean, at least they know that you're doing it out of the empathy you have and the understanding of systems that you have gotten. So, as I said, they're very spiritual. They feel that okay, maybe this is your path. You got to follow it, and they're not the ones to tell you what to do. Sometimes some things they will. When it comes to health, they will of course tell me, lose weight, work out every day. But in terms of work, I don't think they haven't yet. They have never.
Actually, so detour from the larger conversation about health, since you brought it up. Did leaving the big city and moving to a place like Pondicherry make a giant difference to just the way you're living your life?
It does. I stay at a farm, which is not a lot. It's about 2 acres, and the thing is that there's enough and more space there, and it's not hot. It's almost windy, and you start your day with waking up with the sunlight, and mostly by 9:30, 10, I'm off. I'm done. And then I get up in the morning around 6:15. I kind of started having a morning ritual where I listen to like some songs, some podcasts, go for a walk. And that's kind of helped me a lot in terms of, I think in the first 1 hour that you wake up, I don't know about anything else, but in the first 1 hour that you wake up, if you don't see your phone for notifications, I think it's a better start to the day than if you see.
Okay.
So that's what I've discovered. One is that. Second, in the living in Pondicherry, I've discovered is that your phone needs to be kept very away from you when you sleep. For one simple reason, that if you wake up in the night and if you only use your phone to see the time and then you see some notification and then you're up for 2 hours
just scrolling.
endlessly
Yeah.
scrolling on,
Yeah.
seeing all the unread WhatsApp messages and deciding what you have to reply to tomorrow. So I just keep my phone a little far away. So if I have to get up,
You're describing my ideal retired life, but I can't imagine doing this now.
I'm retired. Retirement means that you don't do anything that you don't enjoy, right?
Huh. That you're not compelled to doing anything.
I'm not compelled to do anything. I'm retired. Happily retired.
That's fascinating because we're so wired, at least maybe because you're saying your parents are different, at least we're so wired to say, I should be doing more, I should be achieving more. I'm looking at people around me who are like, you know, the people are buying houses, people are buying cars, you feel slightly left behind. And I know, and I'm bringing this up specifically because I know that a lot of people who write to us feel this way as well. Young people feel this way, that there is this race that you have to run.
I that it's easy, it's okay, good for you, but I think materialism and what you can carry in your bag has a limit of how good it can make you feel. There's a limit to it. After a point, like everybody jokes about this. I had a silver color Skoda Rapid, and after 6 years, I replaced it with a red color Skoda Rapid. That's
car though.
It's a great car, and the guy was also surprised when I went to buy it. He was like, "Sir, you sure you want the same car? There's nothing new in it." I said, "कुछ तो नया होगा." He said, "हाँ, गाना का ऐप है." पैक करो. So I just feel that I'm maybe like that, very chilled with material things. And house, home, these things, it's about who's waiting for you and who you're going to meet there more than what is on the wall and how big the door is. So I've never been attracted to this side of money. Like,
If you grew your beard longer, you could start an ashram.
no, that would make me very rich.
We are trying to avoid that situation.
Money gets a lot of problems, but I feel a lot of people will figure out that this is not what you should run behind. Like you should be motivated to invent something, solve a problem. Life is filled with engineering challenges, and clearly we are not inventing much. And money and all of that is a byproduct of problem solving innovations. But if you're going to if the focus is money, then I don't see you achieving it as much as people who do not focus on money and focus on innovations or focus on problem solving ideas. Money has to come. This is a capitalist world.
I mean, I've always believed that, we on an average have 35, 40-year careers. And unless you really enjoy what you're doing and it really drives you on some level, money will be a byproduct of that. Because you can't possibly, I mean, it's the sheer number of engineers in our country who don't do engineering is an example of you can't do something if you don't love it.
For sure. Lawyers don't do lawyering. So that's a whole different ballgame. But yeah, I just, for this, like, I don't even see people picking up subjects and studying as per what they, and this whole motivation towards UPSC and government, I'm not in favor of that also. I mean, a film like 12th Fail is great, but where conflict of life starts, which is after clearing UPSC, is where the film ends. What an officer does after that, I mean, I'm not talking about that officer in general, but any officer. What they do in service needs to be documented far more than how they get into service. Now we are just focused on how they get into service.
In fact, it will answer the question of how and why they get into service if you figure out what they're doing after they get
For
into
sure,
service.
for sure.
And why this job is of such high demand.
Yeah, I mean, see, 20% of bureaucracy is still working efficiently in a straight line, in a non-corrupt way, because otherwise this country would not survive. But 20% is that number. Giving them high regard, because it's not me talking. BJP MPs have also called UPSC, yeah, like our bureaucrats, ducats, modern day ducats, and all of that. So I really feel that 20% of the bureaucrats must be working in a straight line, hopefully, and that's what keeps the country running. But there is a high demand for this because it takes your status into a leap which is not possible anywhere else. In no other career would you straight leap into this sort of a clout status, all of that.
Is there a mental health aspect as well to leaving Mumbai, leaving social media, taking it off your phone, all of that?
Mental health, yeah, for sure. It's as important as physical health. I do take care of it. Uh, my friend says mentions are tensions, so don't look at mentions. But yeah, still, it's not as difficult to manage if you are focusing on it. Like your physical health, I wish I could do more. But mental health also, if you kind of know what your relationship with your screen is, with what your relationship with your social circle is, you could lead a much better life actually. Most people are in limbo about, like I was speaking to another, independent journalist the other day, and he said, for me, it gets difficult when people call me. I don't know when the caring stops and the work starts. Like they call you and, how are you, what's up? And then they finally get some work in. So those sort of things kind of happen where you kind of need to identify who your actual friends are, who without work you can talk. Once you make those sort of distinctions of intimate relationship with friends and work, and that proper line is there between both, that kind of helps. That's helped my mental health for sure. So, but it is important if you are on the internet.
Yeah. Did you have a moment of weakness on your mental health front where you
Yeah,
needed
for
to take a
sure,
break?
for sure. I did. No, I didn't have to take a break from social media or something, but it was just like I started drinking a lot and all of those things. Maybe I was bottling up a lot of feelings and not kind of discussing it, and then you come around it and kind of understand that this is not a way forward. I mean, if you have to move forward, you have to move forward. You can't keep going back to the past and romanticizing what bad has happened to you and how unfair the world has been. It's been an experience. Make the most of it. Keep going ahead. I don't visit the past back to see how bad it was, because I just think everything is an experience which led up to here, and here is good. That's about it. So most people who go back to their past, they kind of romanticize or kind of, and people, like, there's a famous quote also, things in our mind happen much worse to us when they actually happen. When things in our mind happen much worse to us when they actually happen. When they actually happen, you feel a little bit like, somebody's rude to you, somebody's kind of, uh, taking you down or saying things that you don't want to hear. But you revisit those things, it hurts you more. So I just feel that whatever happened in your past, fair, unfair, was an experience, and that's what has got you here. I think if there was no criticism towards me, I would have not come towards going to Pondicherry and trying to start a farming venture. So that's the part I look at, and it's out of the box for even me to kind of go to Pondicherry and start looking at farming seriously. But it is what people should see, that okay, fine, people are like, there's always this person who says, right, losing my job was probably a good thing that happened to me. But when they lost their job and how they looked at it initially and finally coming to the realization that, oh, it was a good thing, it's a huge journey. But if you kind of compartmentalize it, saying, okay, it's just taking me one step ahead in whatever direction. And Pondicherry, I sail, I go for sailing a lot, and that has also philosophically made me understand that sailing is basically different, right? You go with the wind.
Yeah.
So every sail is different. So the sailor's job is broadly to go in a direction where you want to go, with taking whatever
Forces are being made
whatever
available
forces
to
are,
you.
yeah. And whenever you want to head back in the direction vaguely where you want to go, then you use the same wind to take you there. So that has also given me an understanding that you can't, or not everything you can control.
You can't control everything. Yeah.
Just sometimes things happen in a particular way and you just go with it. Like, that's about it. And broadly, you just know you're in the same, going in the
So you're
correct
saying
direction.
that if that moment had not come, where, and I'm assuming you're talking about that time when a bunch of shows got cancelled at the same time. There were, there was.
Yeah, there was a point, Faye, where I realized that I can't do this for a living. I can do stand up as I like to do stand up, but that can't be my source of income, source of livelihood, my only identity. It's too much effort, um, very little constructive work, uh, worst way to make money. You're hedging your time against money. It's not the best way to make money. So that's when I decided that I have to venture out into something. So yeah, that was when shows were getting cancelled, cases were mounting up, and yeah, I think still it's a good call because it's not like I'm not doing stand up. I come here, I do stand up, I go back. You keep writing material, you keep building material. And stand up is basically, I think, all the comedians that I like or people like in general, they mostly are in their mid 40s when they kind of do have a great run. I'm still 10 years away from it. So, so anytime if I want to like start doing stand up in the way I used to, I can get back to it. But currently, it just seems like uh, too much to do for too little to gain.
There are a lot of comedians who started doing the overseas circuit because it was easier to do.
It is. It
Did
is
you
far
not
more easy. I did go to America. I went to Australia thrice. I went to Europe twice. I did Singapore, Dubai, the entire Middle East. But it is easy, but finally it kind of eats you up that you can't do your own home city, Mumbai, and here in New York you can sell 500, 600 tickets. So yeah, but if you get over that, it's a good circuit to play, and there are a lot of people who are, you know, really looking forward to Indian comedians coming because they are. There is a certain sort of longing that they have, and I see that fulfilled when they see an Indian event and they see like 500, 600 Indians gather together and enjoy something which is not cultural, religious, right? It's a stand up comedy art show. It's a different experience that people have, and people really enjoy these shows. So, yeah, that circuit has opened up, and everybody is going. I've gone almost everywhere, and hopefully next year I'll go again. I don't know. Let's see. If I can find time, I will. A lot of places opening up. I mean, I have friends who've even done gigs in Africa. Because there are a lot of Gujaratis there. So I think somebody had done Kenya, Uganda, I don't remember. But that's great, right? I mean, you get to travel almost all the 5 continents, speaking in Hindi, being an Indian stand-up.
Yeah.
Which is good.
You've just released a documentary film that you directed. Is this another aspect of the new you?
Yeah, I mean, I just started recording a lot of stuff, and I just thought that there's no deep dive into, why don't we just. There was one documentary that I was a co-producer on called Too Much Democracy, which is about the farmers' protest. And now I just made something which was the free market about the gig economy in India. So it's basically about how the gig economy is not an economy that is helping the gig workers. Firstly, the word gig only is not an Indian word. It's a word that artists use in Hollywood. Going for a gig, coming back from a gig. So they are just calling them partners, gig workers, and washing hands away from constitutional duties they have as an employer. So there is a lot of confusion. People who consume from these platform apps like Zomato, Swiggy, Amazon, they think these guys, these platform people are job creators, but they're not. It's the highest rent you pay for real estate. Zomato is real estate.
Yeah.
People gather there to eat, people gather there to cook, people gather there to deliver. Zomato is just the platform of it. So, and they charge 38% to the restaurant person, and they charge this, that, and just disrupt the entire market. And sometimes their delivery boys are working 18 hours and not even making minimum wage. So, that is the reality of the situation. So, I kind of documented it. I just followed the law that was passed in Rajasthan and the law that may be passed in Karnataka or Telangana. And I just followed that law to make people understand that, you know, why this law is needed. And the documentary is boring, I'll agree. But if you
I
watch,
didn't think it was boring at all, actually.
yeah, but it's basically just following the law. So if somebody, you know, people have zero patience right now.
That's true.
People maximum can see 30 seconds of something that
Yeah.
does not consume them.
That's an unfortunate reality of our times.
It is, and it's getting worse.
I think it was Barack Obama had said this several years ago, where he said, in the days to come, attention span will be the commodity that will be in least supply. And he's right, because we went. I mean, I remember when I switched out of television onto internet, first they told me that, no, can you tell the story in 10 minutes? And then 10 minutes became 5 minutes. And it's now 30 seconds. It's impossible to tell you any nuance or any, aspect of something in 30 seconds. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it actually doesn't. And the thing is that the creators are basically producers of content, and they have a duty to their audience as well as they have a due diligence to the platform. It's reverse now.
Yeah. That dopamine, every 30 seconds is a dopamine hit. And yeah.
It's like everybody is on a casino slot machine now without even putting that coin. Every 30 seconds, something happens.
I mean, technically, the attention span is the coin.
Yeah, attention span is the coin.
The mental health is the coin that you're putting in.
Yeah.
And not to mention, yeah.
There's no way out of it, I feel now. It's just this phone is you now. It's part of you. And there's no way out of it.
The thought that I can't get out of my head in this conversation is that you live in Pondicherry on a farm, which I can hear birds singing and it's very beautiful and the sun is rising. So fundamentally, तुम्हारे घर के सामने गू नहीं है.
गू नहीं है, गाय है.
So if there's no conflict, then what are you going to write about?
No, there's still conflict.
दर्द नहीं है, दर्द.
दर्द नहीं, experience है. दर्द तो दर्द is pointless. But the thing is that with what I'm doing with farming also and how I've come to it, I'm really enjoying myself. The whole practice is called soilless farming. Right. So I've taken and marked an acre of the farm, and we've decided that we will grow everything without soil using water and nutrients. And the whole experiment is to not take any technology or any research that is prefabricated and come up with our own conclusion. So it is something that I'm very happy doing, and it is basically the kind of the agri-tech industry. It's going through huge turmoil because the hydroponic, aeroponic, these sort of technologies that are not built in India for India, they are just being passed on, right? It's like I don't know how to explain. Okay, it's like okay, my sister, she went for a chocolate making class. I mean, she learned how to make chocolates. They gave her the molds. They sold her the raw chocolate. Then they sold her the oven. But they never taught her how to compete with Cadbury and Hershey's. That's what this sort of new age farming, where they are getting in technologies, building these huge farms, which is controlled, where you get the same greenhouse from across India. The same poly house, the same sort of channels of water flow, the same pumps, the same nutrients, and that sort of a thing. People kind of invest money in that, and the money never comes out because it's perishable. If you are farming and if you are not selling where the farmer sells, it's either on its way to shut down, already shut down, or will soon shut down. Because there's no way you can be in the farming industry and not sell where the farmer sells, or not sell at prices closest to the farmer selling. And that's been my learning in 2 years. So that's why I didn't buy any technology that was prefab. We build everything from scratch.
So, what are you working on next?
So next, so there are two other documentaries that I have shot, and I'm just editing it simultaneously. The farming venture is going on. I'll probably put up videos and go public with and tell people this is the first time I'm talking about it. And then after that, the shows, wherever I travel, Bangalore, Delhi, I do small shows every now and then. Thankfully, the government is not, I'm on their, what do you call, ignore list.
Yeah.
So I'm able to do it. So yeah, not much. Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time talking today.
Kunal, thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you
It's
so
been
much.
amazing. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
I
Thank
had a
you.
great time. Thank you.
Thank you.